what they're saying that, the ways of the past of pushing people hard, yelling at them if they don't succeed to make them stronger, might be a little overboard these days because we're more in tune with sensitivity these days. So I get that. I mean, I'm on the record for criticizing self worshippers who simultaneously expect the public to also worship them. And I'm not talking just about men. While I support women being respected and treated fairly, much of their plight for feminism is only because they want to be admired. They want to be worshipped, and they want to be given power over others. I know women who admit to Kalima. They feel like they are goddesses. All women are goddesses. And if there is a supreme being over the earth, it's a woman. And it's about time men bow down to them and kiss their feet and worship them. To me, that's as narcissistic as it gets. If a man is narcissistic for wanting women to worship him, it gotta go both ways. I truly feel that since so many people criticize those who follow religions, namely Christianity, it's horrible how they have the audacity to expect you to worship them, is what I'm trying to say. Like you'll tell a person he's an idiot for following the teachings of the scriptures, of the Bible, of following Christ, but you'll turn around and tell them he's smart if he worships your hedonistic ass. Fuck out of here. So, with all that being said, here's where I want your opinions. See, we have a therapist here on Twitter. I believe she's the real deal because not only does she have a lot of followers, but she has the blue check, and she had it before Elon Musk bought Twitter and, all that kind of stuff. So, I, according to the blue check, there is a level of validity to each person who's being represented on here. So that doesn't mean that she writes her tweets. I don't know this woman from a can of paint. I didn't know her till she popped up on my Twitter timeline. Never heard of her, I don't think. But she claims to be a therapist. As I see her brief bio, it says psychologist, author, podcaster, teach you how to heal and consciously create a new version of yourself. And she asks you to join her global healing community. Now, this woman could be a wonderful person. And even with the argument I'm bringing today, I'm not saying that this qualifies her to be a crummy person. The woman could be, if I was to meet her, she probably could be the greatest woman in the world, greatest human in the world that I've ever met. So I'm not here to have anybody feel any hate towards this woman. I have no problem with what she's saying here, other than I believe that there's a healthy debate that wasn't represented well enough on this Twitter thread, because it seems like she has a lot of fanboys and girls who also, it's like people want to buck the system because they feel like, people have been oppressed by grandparents and great grandparents in the old ways. That's why I try to bring up the analogy of the duties and the requirements it took to survive in 1800s and prior compared to nowadays. It was a poor example, I think, but what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people who are just want to buck the system because, to be honest with you, they just feel they're sensitive. But let me leave that alone. Let's finish this because I'm not going to make this a long video. So I want your opinions. Now, here we see, and I'm going to read it to you all, Dr. Nicole LaPera speaking on parents pushing their kids. She's kind of calling parents who demand their children be studious and perform well in school, plus extracurricular activities, the whole package. If you're going to be in sports or you're going to be in the after school program that's scholastically driven or whatever. You're not gonna be there holding up air, breathing air, holding up the wall. You're gonna have to perform. I don't want you to be a loser. Um, Growing up and prior to me growing up, it was like, duh, like a parent was on your ass. You better do good in school. That's your only job. You better do good at sports. We're not, people have been complaining for years about it. The whole soccer team will get trophies even though they lost every game but one. But it's a participation reward because you tried. And it was like in the olden days, it was like, no, you get nothing. Remember the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or the Willy Wonka, the Gene Wilder one where he said, you broke the rules. You get nothing. You lose. Good day. You know what I'm saying? He was on their ass. He was like, no. And that's kind of how some of the modern people feel like, if they could have wrote that story and that script, no, because what message in their eyes? What message are you giving children by telling them the one thing they enjoy is candy, and you telling them because they made a mistake they're just done for? And it seems unfair. Think about the kids. They could be scarred for life. Where some people, which I tend to agree with, will say, "Oh, a lesson was learned in the formative days of their learning and their brain development. They learned that life ain't fair, and if you fuck up, you might miss out." So, she calls people who expect better of their children to be narcissists. Let's dig into this thread a little bit and see if I'm tripping, because I am not always right, and maybe I misunderstood and misconstrued what she's saying. So, moving along with this tweet, Dr. Nicole LaPera, she said, narcissism is a direct response to a society that raises children to perform, produce, and achieve in order, and I'm thinking two should be there, in order to fulfill their parents' sense of unworthiness. Did I read this wrong? She's She said narcissism is a direct response. She did not say I feel or some people say or there's a chance it could be. No, she said directly that narcissism is a direct response to a society that raises children to perform, produce, and achieve in order to fulfill their parents' sense of unworthiness. Now, what I take from that is she's saying that those parents who, let's say they put their kids in sports, and we have heard so many coaches say they hate to see those parents who never was good at basketball, baseball, soccer, football, or nothing when they were kids, and now they're trying to live vicariously through their kids. So they're out here yelling at the coaches, at the refs, like, you guys are bummed. They're yelling at the coach because he won't play their kid, even though the coach is saying your kid is trash. He's not trash. You just are hating on my child. And there's a lot of validity in what those coaches and refs and, you know what I'm saying, managers and stuff like that are saying. But there's also the parents who might have been crummy at sports, but they understand that, hey, my child, I'm out here pushing my child, making him work out when all the other kids are doing homework or playing video games. I got him working out because I know that it takes that extra oomph for that child to succeed. Before I go any further, and I'm using sports, but it translates to scholarly things too, to school. Um, 2 athletes, well, 3, but Two of them are siblings, so I'm counting them as one. But let's say three, just to make it make sense. Three athletes to where I think fits my understanding perfectly. Tiger Woods and Serena Williams and Venus Williams, the two sisters. There's no way I believe. Let's start with the sisters. There's no way I believe that the first time they really got on the court as little kids, and I have not watched the Will Smith movie about their life and stuff like that, but I do not believe the first time as little kids when they might have saw their dad playing tennis and they were like, yeah, I want to swing a tennis racket and all that, like we all did. But when we first swung that tennis racket and we thought we hit the ball good and that ball just barely moved or it went willy nilly out of bounds and our control was lacking and we tried to run and hit the ball and it was taking a lot of energy to do that, there's no way that those kids didn't say, I'm cool on this. And I believe the dad told them, no, you're going to stick with it. He turned into some sort of drill sergeant. Of course, not abusive wise, but on consistency and not letting them stop. And I'll be willing to bet my next paycheck in this entirety that if you ask them right now in 2022 if they love the sport of tennis, I think both of them would say it's my favorite. Now there are some kids who just will feel like I don't like it no matter what. But I'm not criticizing their dad. I think he's proof in the pudding that sometimes you push your kids and you'll be surprised what they can do. Tiger Woods. He might have saw his dad when he was 3, 4 years old and swinging the golf club and was like, oh, I want to do that. But when he first saw that it takes real talent and real skills to play that sport as a little 4-year-old, 5-year-old or whatever, I'm sure he was probably like, I don't like it that much. But his dad, I'm sure, kept saying, no, you're going to get out here and play because I guarantee you that you can be great. And fast forward to 1996, this guy is coming out of high school playing on world tours, winning records and shit like that. And I bet if you ask Tiger Woods right now in 2022 if he likes golf, he's going to say it's the most favorite, most amazing thing that he's ever been a part of. Now, certain people would have seen them as little kids throwing the tennis racket to the side saying, I give up. Him throwing the golf club to the side saying, I give up. And his dad and their dad saying, you're going to keep to this. And there would have been people on the sideline saying, how dare you do that? Just because you haven't won any tennis or any golf records, you narcissist, you just want your kids so you can live vicariously through them. And how dare you drive them to do that? And if he would have gave in, we would never have the greatness of Tiger Woods or the Serena and Venus Williams sisters. So I wanted to make sure I got that out the way just because I didn't want people to think that I didn't have, you know what I'm saying, an intelligent point of view of this. And I think those examples will fit perfectly as we move forward. But what I really made me want to do this upload for was, am I tripping that she's out of line with this? So, for those cases where the parents failed in life and they're trying to live vicariously through their children, then yes, they're out of line for that. And to some extent, I can see where the narcissism label can come from. But are we going to just give a blanket statement like this and not give credit to the parents who just want the best out of their kids? For instance, we'll start with my reply, which I did have somebody respond to it, but I'm sure that I triggered a lot of people. I replied, so what if the parents are extremely successful, yet also humble? That would eliminate any unworthiness. then we have to admit that they're pushing their children towards greatness, right? Let me tell you what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen. There's a parent right now that's kind of pushing their kids to be great, and there's no way that this athlete could be accused of living through their child when this person has reached GOAT level status. I'm talking about LeBron James. He has two sons who are eyeing the NBA. It looks like they want to become NBA players, like Bronny and Bryce James. They don't look like he's breathing down their neck, but at the same time, when you see him with them and is around training for the sport, he's kind of telling them like, you got to get better, you got to get better. Um, Now if they were sophomores, juniors in high school, and he's been doing this since they were in elementary school, and they're just telling the world and anybody that will listen, please tell my dad I don't want to play basketball. I don't want to play any sports. You know what I'm saying? The argument would be valid. So while I'm using that example, I have to understand that a comeback towards me from Dr. Nicola Pera and the people who agree with her is that, well, those are kids that clearly want to do that, so it's okay. And she could say that I'm speaking only to the parents who are forcing kids who don't want to do it. They're the ones wrong. All I'm saying is what triggered me about this is that you might have a kid like you might have had a point where his children, LeBron James, I'm talking about, did not want to play basketball, and or they didn't want to put in the work. They wanted to play, but they thought it was just gonna come easy. When they saw that it wasn't easy and it was gonna take effort, they were ready to quit, and he's demanded they continue to strive to do it. That moment in time, let's say the oldest right now is 15 years old. Let's say that would have happened when he was 8 or 9 years old. He said, I don't want to do this. You're telling me I have to get up at 4 in the morning and or 7 in the morning and do push-ups and stretch and then go. I just wanted to play basketball. I didn't want to do all the training. I didn't want to learn how to dribble with my left hand. I didn't want to learn how to take 100 shots in a row. And he might have told them, there's a high chance that LeBron told them at 9 years old, no, you're going to get up at 7 in the morning. You're going to do the stretches. You're going to do the boring left hand routine, the boring free throw routines, whatever. Because it's not easy. You were wrong thinking it was going to be easy, and it's hard. So what I'm really saying is, aren't we going to give credit to the parents who don't let their children give up just because it's hard? Why does it have to be the parents are trying to live vicariously through them? Now, I'm not making this up. This lady said it. She said, perform, produce, and achieve in order to fulfill their parents' sense of unworthiness. What would give a parent a sense of unworthiness? Well, what would do that would be, I never achieved anything, so I'm going to make my kids achieve what I couldn't do. Well, that's why I use the LeBron thing, because he achieved all of that his kids are doing. He's a high school graduate, so he has the right to demand they graduate high school. He's considered the greatest of all time in basketball, so he can demand that they put in at least a percentage of the effort he put in, because he knows what it takes. Now, let's take him out of the equation. Let's say one of his high school teammates who witnessed him do it, who did not make it to NBA or play college or anything like that, and their career ended in high school. What if they're pushing their kid the same way? They would be considered narcissists due to what the doctor is saying. When in all actuality, aren't they saying, hey, I played along LeBron James in high school. I didn't put in a quarter of the effort he put in. Look where he wound up. Look at me. I'm sitting here and I didn't achieve it at all. Now, you told me you love basketball, children. You want to play on the team. You want to make the NBA. You said you swear you want to make the NBA. So I'm telling you, I witnessed greatness developing. I know what it takes. And I know that the effort you've had put up this far is not enough. So I have made a regimen for you, and you must fulfill this regimen to become a great player. So he has to stay on them because just like all of us, when the going gets tough, we don't always get going. We sometimes say, man, I'm not finna do this extra lap or whatever. I'm not gonna solve this extra homework problem, whatever. Because, man, it's just hard and difficult. And you can have a parent, let's go to schoolwork. You can have a parent who did not graduate high school, who dropped off, who doesn't have a diploma or a GED. But they're going to tell their kid, you're going to do your homework, you're going to do well. Why? Because I take trash out at a McDonald's, which God bless them, especially now that they make $15 an hour here in my area. God bless them. God bless them. Nobody's criticizing them. We're just saying that I haven't heard any person ever in history throughout their schooling saying, I want to go to school to grow up to become a trash maintenance housekeeping person at a McDonald's. We know that's not a goal of not one person. That's something we have settled for those of us who do that. I've never worked at McDonald's. I have worked at fast food when I was younger, for a brief moment of time. You know what I'm saying? But I've never had to do housekeeping at no job or nothing like that. So I'm not trying to shit on them at all, but I know that that's nothing that anybody would say when I grow up, I want to do that. So the parent would be tough on their child because they're saying that's what's waiting for you if you don't succeed, if you don't get your grades up and get some kind of trade or um, college education or something like that. And you're not going to do that with your suffering grades and your poor habits. So what I'm saying is, while there's a modest amount of truth in what she's saying, because those examples of the parents who just acting like their kids just have to be heroes when they just because they weren't heroes, those people do exist. But she made this a direct statement to everybody, and I hope I gave enough examples. But here's what I'm saying. I'm gonna read a few more and then I'm gonna end this. If I'm wrong in what I'm saying, please let me know in the comment section. Um, the reply to what I said, a lady named Kelly Flynn. I believe I can say these people's names because Twitter is a public um, platform. Why would they need to be pushed at all if they were going in the direction of their dreams? Kids are shaped, organized, directed. Let them unfurl, be themselves. Learning comes. Excellent response, Kelly Flynn. Exactly why I wrote what I wrote prior to this. Because I have a child. And my child, all she does is sit on TikTok all day long. And she gets depressed often. And I tell her you're depressed because you're bored. And why are you bored? Because there's nothing to do for you in your eyes but to sit on TikTok all day. You don't join any activities. You every time somebody suggests, hey, try this, no. No. You have no hobbies. You don't read any books. You don't even like video games for real. You got one or two games that you like playing and then you barely want to play those. and you're wondering why you're feeling down in the dumps all the time because you don't do anything. Um, Even if she goes out, if you take her somewhere, she's ready to go home. She's actually just like her mom, but don't tell her I told you that. I love her to death. She's a wonderful kid, very intelligent, but she doesn't believe in herself. So I push her, and I get pushback from her mom saying, "Why are you pushing her? Let her be." For instance, my daughter would tell her mom, I can't go to school today. I need mental day. I need time to recharge my battery." And she'll wind up missing 5 days out of a 3 week period. She'll wind up missing 5 school days for no reason other than she needs to stay home because she needs to chill out. She can't handle the stress of school. What? And her mom was that way when she went to school. So her mom's like that when it comes to employment. She'll tell her job, "I'm not coming in today." Which is okay, you're an adult. But what I'm saying is, I'm not speaking from somewhere to where I'm employed. I went to school every day of the week. I go to work every day of the week. Then I'm scheduled to go. I'm not asking her to do anything that I haven't done. And that's what my argument is to this lady's post. Are those parents that you're calling narcissists, are they really asking their child to do something that they haven't done? You're really downplaying these parents that are pushing their kids. I think of the Tiger Moms. Remember when that was a big story of the Chinese culture? The mothers in the Chinese culture were being called Tiger Moms because they were demanding the greatest out of their kids, and it was really hurting their kids because their kids were like, "Man, I can't handle this. I don't have no time to myself. I can't do what I want to do. Mom is saying I gotta be a doctor. I gotta be a scientist. I gotta be this and that." But at the same time, a lot of those kids became that, and they don't have financial stress. So what we're trying to do is make sure that you learn habits of greatness, of success. We're not trying to live through you. We're not trying to lead you a way that we couldn't obtain. We want you to not become a burden, because not only are you a burden to yourself, but a lot of times these unsuccessful children become burdens to the parents. Okay? We always criticize the 30 plus year olds who are living in mom's house in the basement or in his room he grew up in or her room she grew up in, and they barely can keep a job, barely can help with the bills, just lost and wandering. Well, one of the things that gets you to have your own is you were pushed when you were younger in your formative years. Uh, my response to Kelly Flynn, because just to finish up what she said, kids are shaped, organized, directed. Let them unfurl, be themselves. Learning comes. Ain't that some bullshit? Learning comes. Your kids are you aren't we? Don't the educators let us know that we need to make sure our kids understand learning is every day, and that they have to understand that they should be learning every day. She's literally saying learning comes, give them time, let them go in the direction of their dreams. I brought up the example of my daughter, not to have her criticized. I brought that up to say I'm looking at a child with no direction, no dreams. I ask her all the time, "What are your dreams? What do you want to do in the meantime and in the future?" "I don't know. I don't know." And she literally shuts it out of her head. So I'm supposed to be that dad who yanks her by the collarbone and says, "No, well, you're going to do this, that, this, that, this, that." Because have been given chance after chance to say what you want to do, and you keep saying you don't know. So I'm supposed to make the way for you until you figure some stuff out on your own. Now, my reply to her was, I get that. My comment was directed towards her saying that a parent pushing their child is only due to that parent feeling unworthy in their own endeavors. She's saying because you failed, now you demand your kid be perfect. So, what if you didn't fail? And no one would answer. And I meant that. You see, she's the only one who responded. Where is all these people that's taking her side? Here I am, pushing back, and nobody wants to take me up on that. Twitter people usually don't have no trouble saying what they mad about. Shit, today, Little Dick Energy is trending today because a girl had a nerve to go at a grown man and he went back at her. And now he's the punk for going back at her. But she the one going at him. She the one calling him a little dick nigga. If she's such a child, why the fuck is she speaking to him? And the girl's 19, and I don't have no problem with her. And yes, I understand taking a high road as a grown man, but you know what I'm saying though. Shit, play stupid games, get stupid prizes, motherfucker. Now, Kelly's response to me, there would have to be a certain degree of that happening, otherwise you lead by example. I agree with you, not every case though. And I gave her a like on that because throughout this thread, she's been pretty decent. I told her, I appreciate your reply. I know a 14-year-old high school freshman right now going through an emotional roller coaster which is causing her grades to spiral. It started with getting cut from cheer team. Her mom trained her until she was accused of living vicariously. This teen needed the push though. So what I was trying to say is I know an example of a girl who was happy in school and everything, freshman in high school. She tried out for the cheerleading squad. She failed miserably, was cut, and everything since then is, oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate school. I hate school. But her mom used to be a dancer and stuff like that who knew how to train her to be it. But to succeed and make the team. But when she was training her, the 14-year-old was very huffy puffy. Oh, this is so much. This is so much. And the mom backed off because everybody was like, she said you working her too hard in your training. So the mom backed off, said, okay, well, I'll let you do it on your own because you feel like you've trained enough, whatever. And as soon as the girl got cut, she started accusing them of being unfair. They cut me just because they don't like me and all that kind of stuff. Not the fact that she was horrible at it. Or not horrible, but just not good enough. So that's my point. You know what I'm saying? We're leaving those people out. So, and here, I Candy Randy, I had to like this one because, once again, only 3 likes. Everybody see, people are such fanboys and fangirls. You know what I'm saying? The doctor need to respond to this. What about parents who never say no to their kids? That seems to be an epidemic in the U.S. Yes. Yes. But you see what I'm saying? People don't. Wow. Akshay Barrel Portrait. Your content has really helped me reparent myself and try and heal my inner child. Lots of love and continue with the great work. Gotta be a fanboy. Come on now. A woman on Twitter changed your way of parenting. Not the loved ones around you who gave you advice, but this person on. Wow. Um, a direct response to capitalist hierarchy. We all need to work hard and be better than our neighbors, usually by standing on their necks. No rest, no inherent respect or dignity. You have to earn a living. Living is a privilege, not a right. Okay, but I get what he's saying. And once again, all the fanboys and girls, they upvoted him. And I get what he's saying. Like, it's like blaming the victim. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the victim is still a victim at the end of the day. No matter she walked down the alley with no underwear on and her breasts hanging out at midnight, she still shouldn't have got raped. And they're right about that. Even though you could make a case that why would she walk down the alley alone with her coochie out and her titties out in an all male alleyway? But that still does not condone rape. So she's still a victim. And I get what he's saying. Like, we still have the children who we still are teaching people like the olden days to where stop crying. Stop crying. Bring results. Nobody cares about what you're going through. He brings a point. But here's something I could bounce back with. So many of the successful people in life, in the world, who have accumulated wealth, success, so many positive things, they all say you got to get off. Excuse me, you got to get off your ass and get to it on your own. They all say the opposite of what he's saying. You got to get up like somebody's got their foot in your neck and get to it. So this same person, David Daniel Ducker, he probably is the same person who's criticizing somebody that's applying for welfare. Oh, why don't they get up and get a job? So, you know what I'm saying? So, all this is cool until they're the victims of a loser. Until somebody who they're supporting won't get off their ass and get to nothing. Then they're sitting up here like, that's what I want to say to all the people who's taking this person's side. What about the people around you who's a burden to you? What about how don't you turn around and say to them, get off your ass and get to the motherfucking money? That's all. Yes, you shouldn't be so high strung to where it's like your way or the highway. But you also don't have to sit there and be a victim yourself. And the victim that you are is a victim of a loser. That's all. And as far as being a narcissist, because I'm finna end this, I've been on here too long. DC Capital, please respond to this tweet. I think this is probably true, and I want it to be true. But do you have any evidence at all that this opinion, or are you simply tweeting your opinions? I wish the soft sciences would hurry up and become hard sciences already. I know that's right. And of course, one of the fangirls, why not just do your own research? Might realize there's people in your life like this. I'm truly trying to understand your tweet, but cannot. Can you reword it more clearly? Okay. Okay. So, now Fuzzy Bear, he said, okay, now I know you don't know what you motherfucking talking about. And Michelle says, I would even add that narcissism is a response to a society that raises children or adults to perform under whatever circumstance. And Zegmore Patrick, what about children who are spoiled rotten? That's all we're saying. So what you're saying is if you're hard on your kids because you know that they're a spoiled rotten kid, the bystander has the right to accuse you of narcissism because you just mad that you weren't spoiled. Bruh, do I got this wrong? Man, look, I'm gonna go on and close this out. I appreciate you all listening. Please, You ain't got to leave a like. You don't have to leave a like or subscribe. All I ask is that you comment and let me know if I'm out of bounds with what I'm saying. If I'm not out of bounds, then let me know. You know what I'm saying? If you agree or disagree, let me know. Just that way I know, because I'm really putting this out here to make sure I'm not tripping. Not to try to become the best YouTuber ever. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not tripping. Because I have a different way of seeing this, and I feel like this is kind of disrespectful to an extent for her to say this about parents who want their kids to succeed. I think this is very out of bounds. If I'm tripping, let me know. Okay, anyway, I'll be doing another video about another topic, and you know why? Because you asked me to.